Today, we're going to do a practice of open awareness, really inviting in this sense of openness or acceptance in mindfulness practice. So you can allow the eyes to close and settle into a posture, and making any little minor adjustments, seeing what feels right in the body. Looking at the body with a sense of beginner's mind, recognizing that the posture that felt just perfect yesterday may not be the best posture today. So, really tuning in, not to what we think we know, but what we can actually feel. Perhaps you can allow the shoulders to drop a little bit, inviting in some relaxation, or allowing there to be some slack in the jaw. Practicing soft belly, releasing the tension in the muscles of the abdomen. And we'll start with a few minutes of concentration practice just to cultivate this one pointedness of mind and settle into where we are. So you can choose a spot in the body where you can feel the body breathing. Perhaps it's the chest, the abdomen or stomach, the tip of the nose or upper lip. Wherever you can feel the breath most easily in this moment. Choosing one spot and sticking with it. And with this concentration practice, making a special effort not to stress or strain. Seeing if instead of forcing the awareness on the breath, you can rest it. Inviting in this sense of ease or gentleness, of metta. And as you sit, allowing the body to breathe naturally, just being with the breath, nothing else to do. Tuning into the inhale, the exhale, the slight space between. And when the mind wanders, for now, just bringing it back. We don't need to figure out why the mind wandered. We don't need to buy into the judgment. Just returning to the breath as many times as necessary. Remembering you can always use a mantra like in, out, or inhale, exhale. You may notice that the mind wanders rather quickly. Perhaps you come back to the breath and the mind immediately takes off again. Remembering that this is a practice of cultivating concentration. When the mind wanders and we bring it back, we're strengthening our ability to concentrate. And we're strengthening our mindfulness, recognizing what's happening in the present moment. The mind jumping off into thought or fantasy or other sensations isn't a problem. It's an opportunity. It's part of the practice. We don't need to push thoughts away, label them as bad or wrong. Just leaving them be and not hooking into them, not allowing them to carry us off, returning to the breath when we notice the mind wander. And perhaps you can notice when thoughts arise and just notice that they're there and come right back to the breath before you've even become hooked in. Always returning to the breath, resting in this gentleness with it. You can open up into more of a awareness or mindfulness practice and concentration practice where focusing on this one pointedness and not hooking into anything else. And as we begin to open up the awareness, we can begin to notice what else is going on. So noticing just what's going on in the physical body as you sit here. You can use a one-word label. It can be helpful just to notice what's going on but not buy into it too much. So just noting where in the body you're feeling something. So you may note that there's a sensation in the knee and just say knee and tune into it for a moment. Maybe the breath in the chest comes into your awareness and just noticing breath or chest. The temperature of the air on the forehead. Remembering you can always return to the breath as your anchor. resting in it until another sensation comes up, and tuning into that sensation just for a few moments before opening the awareness back up. This is this practice of mindfulness or awareness, recognizing what's going on in our present time experience, not judging, trying not to resist or cling, but just tuning in to what's going on, observing. If you feel comfortable doing so, you can open up a little bit further to include the other traditional sense doors. Anything going on in the eyes, in the visual field, even with eyes closed. Any smells or tastes. And of course, any sounds. Perhaps it's a sound in your own body or in the space in which you're meditating, a sound outside. And again, just using this one word noting practice. So, noting sound or hearing if you're hearing, noting stomach if you're feeling the breath in the stomach. Remembering this quality of openness in this practice, this gentle awareness in which we allow things to arise and just tune into them. No sound or sensation is outside the realm of your practice right now. What's going on in your experience, moment to moment? What arises into your field of awareness? And you can invite in the sixth sense door in the Buddha's teachings, the thinking mind. And this may be a little bit different than what we think of meditation sometimes, but really allowing the thoughts to be there. We don't need to push them down or push them away, but just seeing them as they arise. You can use a one-word label like thinking, or perhaps you can identify the thought somewhat. I often use labels such as planning, fantasy, lost, just to kind of note the nature of the thoughts without buying into them. So, just as we do with the body or with the sounds going on, tuning in to these thoughts that are arising, not pushing them away as bad, really turning towards them and recognizing them with this sense of ease and openness toward them. Again, asking yourself, what's going on in my experience in this moment? And in these last couple minutes, you can tune into the further foundations of mindfulness, just in the sense of noticing if there's a leaning toward or leaning away from each experience. Do we find it pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral? Do we like or dislike? Do we want the experience to continue or stop, or are we neutral towards it? So just noticing the process, for example, as a sound arises, do you find it pleasant or unpleasant? And what's the reaction or response to that? If you hear a noise you don't like, can you notice that you find it unpleasant? And perhaps a subtle feeling of wanting it to go away? If the breath feels really pleasant in the body, can you notice that it feels pleasant and you want the breath to continue feeling pleasant? So, sticking with the noting practice, noting what's arising, and just noting if you're leaning in or leaning away, if you like or dislike. Beginning to tune into the nature of experience and how the mind responds or reacts without our intention or volition, all by itself.